That's why we're careful with the Biden administration to not only bring good nominees before the committee, but to make certain that they bring the necessary qualities. This week, the Senate will consider several of President Biden's judicial nominees. I believe that they understand the role of a judge in our system. They'll bring much needed experiential and demographic diversity to our nation's court. I've tried throughout my career, and many others like me have tried, to choose men and women for the bench that will reflect the diversity of America. The face of justice is often as important as the fact of justice. And if people appearing before our courts feel that there is at least a chance for success based on the background and experience of a judge, I think it's a positive thing. Given the background of these judges in trying cases, arguing appeals, and issuing rulings from the bench, I believe, and the committee agreed, these judicial nominees are ready for service. Today, I'd like to speak in support of two of them. Julian Neals, nominated to the District of New Jersey, District Court of New Jersey. Regina Rodriguez, nominated to the District Court of Colorado. New Jersey is really in desperate need of federal judges. They're facing a judicial emergency. In each of the state's 6 judicial vacancies, they've been designated as a judicial emergency status by the Administrative Office of the U.S. Courts. Today, we can begin to address this judicial emergency by finally confirming Julian Neals to the U.S. District Court for the District of New Jersey. He's an extraordinary public servant. He's served the people of the state of New Jersey for decades. As an expert in municipal law, he handled several legal disputes that were tried to verdict, judgment, and final decision, including multiple jury trials. He was the chief judge of the Newark Municipal Court. He presided over 6,000 cases in that capacity. He received a unanimous rating of well qualified from the American Bar Association. He has the strong support of his home state senators, Senators Cory Booker and Bob Menendez, and he's received broad bipartisan support in the Judiciary Committee, with 5 Republicans joining all the Democrats in supporting his nomination. I urge my colleagues to support him. This week, the Senate will also consider the nomination of Regina Rodriguez to be a judge in the District Court of Colorado. What a life story she brings. Ms. Rodriguez is the daughter of a Japanese-American mother whose family was interned during World War II, and a Mexican-American father who was one of the first Hispanic coaches in the National Football League. Her father's job as a coach took the family across country. Though Ms. Rodriguez was born in Colorado, she spent several of her formative years in my home state of Illinois. When she was 17 years old, Ms. Rodriguez thought she might want to be a lawyer. So she put on her best suit, as she says, knocked on doors in Macomb, Illinois, until she found a lawyer who said, "Come on in, I'll show you the ropes." Lucky for us, Ms. Rodriguez held on to that passion that first developed when she was a teenager. Over the past 30 years, she has served as a talented litigator who has tried 35 cases to verdict. She has a range of experience in government and private sector. In the public sector, she served as an assistant U.S. attorney and rose to become the first Latina chief of the Civil Division in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Colorado. In private practice, she represented a broad array of clients, from individuals to Fortune 500 firms. During her tenure as litigator, Ms. Rodriguez has demonstrated she understands the importance of applying the law to the facts in a fair manner. She has represented plaintiffs, defendants, government, and those who've sued the government. As a woman of color, she has risen as a partner in several leading law firms, no mean feat. Ms. Rodriguez has taken out time from her demanding schedule to mentor young attorneys, just as that lawyer in Macomb, Illinois did for her. She has received a unanimous, well-qualified rating from the American Bar Association, as well as positive blue slips from both Senators Bennett and Hickenlooper. Her nomination is supported by the National Asian Pacific Bar Association, the Latinas First Foundation, and the Colorado Lawyers Committee. She earned support across the aisle. On May 20th, Ms. Rodriguez was voted out of the committee by a vote of 17-5, with the support of 6 of my Republican colleagues. When confirmed, she'll be the first Asian American judge to serve not only in the District of Colorado, but in the entire 10th Circuit. Her historic, well-deserved confirmation will bring our federal judiciary closer to reflecting the lives and experiences of all Americans. I urge my colleagues to join me in voting for Ms. Rodriguez's nomination. The judicial nominees we're voting on this week illustrate something that is substantial and profound. They illustrate that Joe Biden's administration, President Joe Biden, I should say, is dedicated to appointing legal experts with outstanding credentials and a wealth of experience. During his first several months in office, President Biden has nominated public servants who will bring to the bench a variety of professional perspectives and personal experience. Too often, those things have been missing in previous nominees. By confirming judges who reflect the experience of all Americans and who demonstrate fealty to the rule of law, we can continue building a justice system that works for everyone. Over the last 4 years, we have seen a concerted effort on the Republican side to fill vacancies. They broke records in some respects in the number of nominees that they brought before the Senate for approval. Some of the records are not to be proud of from my perspective. 10 of the nominees who were submitted for consideration during the last 4 years before the Senate Judiciary Committee were found unanimously unqualified by the American Bar Association. Nevertheless, most of them made it to the bench in lifetime appointments. Many nominees came before us under the Trump administration who were seeking lifetime appointments to become a trial judge and had no personal experience in a courtroom. Hard to imagine that anyone would be thrust into that situation and expected to perform as a professional. And imagine, if you will, the parties to those lawsuits, many of whom have staked their lives and reputations on the outcome, to find a judge who couldn't find their way through the Code of Civil Procedure if they were forced to. That, unfortunately, was the standard that was used. As long as these nominees in the past had the blessing of the so-called Federalist Society, that was good enough for many of my Republican nominees. Joe Biden is really responding to that by suggesting nominees who meet much higher standards. I want to work with the Biden administration to continue in that tradition. So at the end of the day, we can fill the vacancies with women and men who are not only competent, honest, have the integrity and experience, both legal and otherwise, to serve our nation for the rest of their lives, should they choose, in these judicial capacities. I commend these two nominees who passed out of our committee with strong bipartisan vote to my colleagues on the floor today. I hope they'll join me in supporting them, and I yield the floor. Suggest the absence of quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.